This is group 13 with Samuel Kim.
And Eddie Shin.
We did our project on Recitatif by Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison was born Chloe Ardalina Wolford in Lorain, Ohio. Her family had participated in the Great Migration of African Americans from the South in the early 20th century. She wrote novels, essays, musical lyrics, and the libretto for an opera. She received the Pulitzer Prize for her fifth novel, Beloved, written in 1987, and was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1993. Her literature depicts the African American experience and the influence that racial and gender discrimination had on the present society, especially on the youth.
So a little bit about recitative. The word recitative refers to passages of narrative or dialogue in an opera that are sung in the rhythm of ordinary speech. Mrs. Morrison's only published short story, and it is about two girls, Twyla and Roberta, who run into each other throughout their lives at 5 different encounters. During these encounters, the dialogue between them reveals the nature of their friendship. The narrator does not reveal the character's race, but does state that Twyla and Roberta are of different race. Toni Morrison refuses to perceive race as a division, but rather embraces a common humanity, even though racial identity plays a crucial role in the characters' lives as well as society. I think it's also important to note that this story is told through Twyla's perspective, as she is the narrator.
The first initial encounter between Roberta and Twyla is at St. Bonnie's orphanage. Twyla is placed in St. Bonnie's, a shelter, because her mother Mary dances all night. As for Roberta's mother is unable to care for her because she is sick. Roberta is placed in the same room as Twyla and is revealed that they are from different races. In the first initial encounter, both of the girls are 8 years old. The girls' mothers come to visit them at St. Bonnie's. Twyla's mother is dressed inappropriately for chapel, while Roberta's mother is wearing a large cross and holding a Bible. Twyla's mother does not bring any food for lunch. Roberta's mother brought Roberta chicken legs, ham sandwiches, oranges, and a box of chocolate-covered grams, and drank milk while her mother read her the Bible. After the mother's visit, Roberta gives Twyla a stack of greyhounds but does not ask about Mary's visit. When Roberta's mom meets Mary, she refuses to shake hands with her. Roberta leaves St. Bonnie's and Twyla does not write to her because she does not know her address.
So through Twyla's perspective, she feels different from the other kids because she was dumped by her mom and she's not a real orphan. She refers to her mother by her name Mary, which shows that there's a lack of a mother-daughter bond. But Twyla is fond of her mother because she does say that a pretty mother on earth is better than a beautiful dead one in the sky, even if she did leave you all alone to go dancing. And in her childhood, it is revealed that Twyla has adopted a bit of her mother's racism. She does say that the wrong food is always with the wrong people, alluding to Roberta and Roberta's mother being so caring for her, for bringing her to a big lunch. Through Roberta's perspective, we felt that Roberta doesn't feel dumped by her mom because her mom's in desperate circumstances, she's sick, and because Roberta's mother cooks her very delicious meals. Roberta's mother refused to shake Mary's hand because she was disgusted by her immature and uncaring behavior towards Twyla as her mother. Her non-acceptance also could have been because of racial differences. Roberta does not ask questions about Twyla and Mary because she's trying to be polite and she doesn't want to embarrass Twyla. Twyla and Roberta meet again at a second encounter at this place called Howard Johnson's, which is a restaurant off the New York State Thruway. She sees Roberta smoking a cigarette in a booth with two boys and wonders if Roberta would remember her or if she would even want to be reminded of St. Bonnie's. And because Twyla has never talked about her past at the shelter to anyone, This encounter is very awkward. Um, when it's Roberta's turn to fill the silence, Roberta instead lights a cigarette and says she's on her way to meet Jimi Hendrix. Twyla is dismissed without a goodbye, but before parting ways, Twyla asks Roberta how her mother is, and Roberta replies, fine. And Twyla responds by saying her mother is still as pretty as a picture. Here, it seems the girls are teenagers.
In Twyla's perspective, Twyla keeps watching the booth where Roberta is sitting while waiting to get off work so she could approach her. She seems rather excited to see Roberta. Twyla feels insecure about her appearance in her uniform and is not greeted by Roberta in a warm manner. The encounter is short and ends with Twyla thinking Howard Johnson really was a dump in the sunlight, to which she reveals that she may be ashamed of her position in life. As for Roberta, we imagine that Roberta would be surprised to reunite with Twyla so unexpectedly. She is at a loss for words and responds with short phrases such as, sure, hey, wow, you work here. And Roberta aims to be perceived by Twyla as calm and hip. Roberta wants to get away from the encounter with Twyla because she does not want to reveal her past to her two friends, and because there seems to be some racially driven pressure during the era in which they meet, revealed later by Roberta as the third encounter. When Twyla asks Roberta about her mother, Roberta is nervous to respond but keeps her cool and ends the encounter abruptly.
So they meet again at their third encounter at a food emporium. Here, the girls, Twyla and Roberta, are married. Twyla is married to a firefighter and lives in Newburgh, and Roberta is married to an IBM executive and lives in a much more prosperous neighborhood. Twyla thinks to herself, everything is so easy for them. They think they own the world. Here, we're seeing a racial divide again. They decide to go get coffee, and Twyla and Roberta reconnect as if they had never been separated since St. Bonnie's. They're giggling and they're happy and remembering their childhood, but Twyla cannot help but wonder why we were glad to see each other this time and not before. Once, 12 years ago, we passed like strangers. She is referring back to her last encounter with her at Howard Johnson's, where Roberta seemed off cold. Roberta claims that she was distant because you know how it was those days, black, white, but Twyla still doesn't understand. Roberta reveals that Maggie did not fall down at St. Bonnie's, but rather she was pushed. This really bothers Twyla. She doesn't remember the events happening this way. She thinks that Maggie was pushed.
In Twyla's perspective, she thinks that Roberta looks fancy in her attire and sees that Roberta is living a lavish lifestyle. She is disturbed to find out about Maggie being pushed in the orchard. Twyla wonders why Roberta was so cold during their last encounter at Howard Johnson's. Unlike the second encounter at Howard Johnson, we imagine that Roberta would be excited to reunite with Twyla. She asks Twyla if she is happy, which shows Roberta's concern and care for Twyla, but Roberta does not ask further questions in an effort to be polite, as she always been. Roberta feels more comfortable in her position and is willing to happily reminiscent about their childhood at St. Bonnie's. When Twyla brings up the subject of race, Roberta used racial tensions as an excuse to why she was not friendly to Twyla in their last encounter. In Roberta's perspective, she remembers that Maggie is falling down at St. Bonnie differently than Twyla because Twyla was trying to block it from her memory.
Twyla and Roberta meet at their fourth encounter at a racial protest in Newburgh. Roberta is seen picketing against desegregation, and Twyla is bothered by the fact that her child cannot attend the same school as the whites were assuming. And with Racial strife increasing in the community. Both Twyla and Roberta officially feel the tension between blacks and whites. When people start to violently rock Twyla's car back and forth, Roberta insults Twyla by calling her the same little snake kid that kicked the poor old black lady when she was down on the ground. She's accusing Twyla of abusing Maggie at St. Bunny's. Twyla denies Maggie being black or her involvement in the abuse. Here, Maggie plays another important role. Furthermore, Twyla reveals that Maggie reminded her of her dancing mother. It begins to be revealed why Twyla and Roberta have such a strong connection to the Maggie incident. Twyla thinks that Maggie is kind of representative of her own mother. There's a quote that she says that Maggie, there's nobody inside, nobody who could hear you if you cried in the night, nobody who could tell you anything important that you could use.
And in Twyla's perspective, which is the story's perspective, Twyla felt very strongly about picketing against Roberta in the protest, and her signs were directed towards Roberta and is not the racial cause. It is apparent that Twyla is upset with Roberta and her involvement in the racial conversation of the times. It is assumed that Twyla feels strongly about her past with Maggie because she reminds her a lot of her mom. And then in Roberta's perspective, Maggie is mentioned again when Twyla's car was racked back and forth by the protesters. And then Roberta insulted Twyla, stating that you kicked a black lady and you have the nerve to call me a bigot. Basically a hypocrite. Once Twyla and Roberta had their arguments with each other with the picketing sign, one particular sign stood out within Roberta's mind, a painted sign in queenly red with huge back letters that said, "Is your mother well?" Based on Roberta's reaction, it is revealed that Roberta has had enough of the fighting and decides to be ending the forced encounter.
So at the fifth and final encounter, Twyla and Roberta meet again Christmas Eve at a coffee shop. Roberta seems to appear a little bit drunk, and Twyla doesn't seem very excited to see her, considering the last encounter when Roberta accused her of kicking Maggie. Roberta says that she has made up her mind to tell her something if she ever saw Twyla again. Roberta reveals that she does not know if Maggie was black, and just like Twyla, she was not sure of her race. Furthermore, Roberta goes on to say that Maggie was raised in an institution, just like her mother, Roberta. Like Twyla, reveals that she wanted to kick Maggie, but knows that they did not actually kick her. She cries and says that wanting to do it is just as bad as actually kicking her. Twyla mentions that her mother never did stop dancing. Carton responds by saying her mother never did get well. Roberta sobs and wonders aloud what the hell happened to Maggie.
Then, according to Twyla's perspective, Twyla is extremely tired. She does not seem excited or warm when she is approached by Roberta in this final encounter. When Roberta mentions St. Bonnie and Maggie, Twyla responds with the phrase, "Oh, please." In Roberta's perspective, Roberta seems to feel that it is important to clear up the topic of Maggie with Twyla, considering their big argument as seen in the fourth interaction. The confusion in the remembrance of Maggie's race seems to play a significant role in the way Twyla and Roberta feel about their treatment of Maggie, but they both know the race does not really matter. Roberta and Twyla both have revealed that they wanted to kick Maggie but did not. And visibly, Roberta is shook up in this last encounter with Twyla and remembers Maggie as a representation of her mother, just as Twyla did. Maggie needed help and was unable to help herself, just like the girl's two mothers. Both of the girls were lonely and scared and wanted to punish the mothers for not being there for them.
I think at the end of the fifth encounter, it's kind of revealed, it kind of goes full circle and it's revealed that why Maggie's so important in the remembrance of St. Bonnie's because it's tied a lot with their mothers and that they both wanted to kick Maggie. And I think those are feelings of the girls wanting to punish their mothers for not being available to them. And Maggie was kind of helpless and was unable to help herself. So I feel like that's how they felt of Maggie and it reminded them of their mothers. That concludes our presentation on Recitatif.